Peace, family. It's your girl Samantha here, coming with another story regarding the Democrats. It is published in Fox News, November 17, 2021. And it says another Democrat decides to quit as potential 2022 election day route approaches. The announcement comes 2 weeks after North Carolina's legislature passed a new congressional map. So Representative G.K. Butterfield, DNC, D of North Carolina, Democrat of North Carolina, is set to announce his retirement from the House in a move that would deal another blow to Democrats' chances of keeping control of the chamber in the midterm elections. Butterfield, a longtime member and former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, will make the announcement Thursday that he will not be seeking re-election, according to reports. The veteran lawmaker was first elected to represent North Carolina's 1st congressional district in 2004. The planned announcement comes 2 weeks after North Carolina's Republican-controlled legislature passed a new congressional map that may put Butterfield's typically safe seat within reach of the GOP, with the new districting going from leaning Democrat by 7 points to now leaning Democrat by 1 point, according to the political website 538. Democrats have filed a lawsuit over the map, claiming that the new boundary will dilute the influence of black voters in Butterfield's district. Butterfield vowed earlier this month to continue fighting for his seat. "I do plan to run again. I'm going to give it everything that I have," Butterfield told ABC 11 at the time. But those plans have now changed, with sources close to the lawmaker telling WRAL that the new district boundary played a key role in his decision to step aside. So it sounds like Butterfield knows that he's going to have to actually do some work to run again and win. I don't like how they called his seat safe. You should not have a quote-unquote safe seat in Congress, because that sounds like to me you don't really need to do much work, because you know you're safe and that you're going to be elected time after time after time. Which also leads me into the next issue of terms. I don't know why Congress members do not have terms like our own president. Why are you able to serve in Congress for like 3 decades? That's unacceptable. That's just BS. It's complete BS. And that needs to be worked on by the people to change that. Butterfield's planned retirement comes the same week as Senator Patrick Leahy, Democrat of Vermont, and Representative Jackie Speier, Democrat of California, announced their retirements, adding to a flow of Democratic incumbents that have announced their departure from Congress. A total of 11 Democrats have announced that they will not be seeking re-election in 2022, compared to 9 Republicans who plan to retire. Before being elected to Congress, Butterfield served as an Associate Justice on the North Carolina Supreme Court. In addition to being a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, which means he basically did nothing his entire time he was in office, the Democratic lawmaker was a fierce supporter of making health care more affordable and making investments in the country's rural communities. Sounds like a load of crap. His retirement is another blow to Democrats as the party clings to an already thin majority ahead of next year's midterm elections. Some analysts believe that the GOP is set to flip at least 5 seats due to redistricting alone. The exact number of seats the party will need to flip in order to regain the majority in the chamber. So there you go. You got some more bad news for Democrats. I'm telling people, everyone's shaking the Democrats are shaking in their boots. They're freaking out ever since the Virginia election. And I believe New Jersey and New York, and I never can remember the 4th state, but they just didn't do really well in these last elections that just occurred across the nation. And so now, you see more people wanting to retire, which gives ADOS/African Americans a way in for our fight for reparations. But even with all that, knowing that, I still plan to vote Republican because I'm just absolutely fed up with Democrats. And so speaking of that. Actually, I'll cover that in the next video. So, you guys, let me know what you think about this story. It looks like he is an entirely white man. I don't know how he's in the Congressional Black Caucus. He's just going to try to say he's biracial. So Butterfield apparently came from a prominent African-American family with a long history in North Carolina. Both of Butterfield's parents are mixed-race Americans. His maternal grandfather, Joe Davis, was a child of a former slave and a white man. His mother, Addie, taught elementary school for 48 years in some of North Carolina's poorest communities. So it's interesting because these people have gone through all this, but they do nothing for reparations for the African American community. But they know themselves have seen just the poverty that, and the disparaging life that African Americans have to live in this country. And I'm also not surprised here that it says Butterfield's father, G.K. Butterfield Sr., is an immigrant from Bermuda. So, let's see here. Yeah, I'm just not surprised that they're giving him the title of being black. He looks like a white person, and he's half immigrant, which is usually what a lot of the Black Caucus is made up of. A lot of black immigrants who just don't seem to have really had any real motivation to do anything for ADOS. They said in describing his racial identity as a black man, he has pointed to his African heritage as a direct descendant of slaves. He grew up in racially segregated North Carolina. So how are you a direct descendant of slaves, but you don't fight for reparations? He said he attended black schools. He spent his childhood as a first-hand witness to the disenfranchisement of his black community, originating as part of a targeted campaign to remove his father from the board of aldermen, and he's the former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. So a long political career of doing nothing. Now let's see here. Let's see who his wife is. Just curious. You cannot tell this guy is black. You're right. Let's see. Spouse is Jean Farmer, Butterfield. She's a black woman. And she's also looking like she's in Congress, I believe. She didn't pretend to be in the Congressional Black Caucus, I don't think. Doing a bunch of nothing. She served as the House Majority Whip. July 2020, resigned from her seat in the House. Okay. Okay. And they divorced in 1991. She divorced from G.K. Butterfield in 1991. So that is G.K. Butterfield, looking like a whole white guy who's claiming to be black, who's talking about himself being from direct descendant of slaves, yet doing nothing to honor those ancestors. He should be ashamed of himself. And is 74 years old after decades of sitting in the Congressional Black Caucus and doing absolutely nothing for African Americans / ADOS. He is resigning from his seat, so that's good news. Let's bring Congressional Black Caucus, those members that have been there forever collecting dust. We need to get them out of there, one person at a time or all together at once. I really don't care how it's done. It just needs to happen swiftly. So let me know what you guys think about this story and leave your comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.